Hello, HubSpot professionals. Today we're going to be looking at HubSpot workflows as they appear within HubSpot. We're going to be looking at how we can analyze workflows, how we can look at health and review automation issues, and how we can clean up workflows that have perhaps gone stale. Within HubSpot directly, under the workflows, the way that HubSpot presents our workflows is through this list view. And the list view is really good because it allows us to create new workflows. It allows us to review from here. We can click into each individual workflow. We can see all the actions, the enrollment. Perhaps we can see if there's any tasks associated with it, etc. And what HubSpot does really well here is they give us an opportunity to analyze our current workflows. I'm in a demo portal today, so there might not be a whole lot of stuff to analyze, but it gives us some opportunities here for optimization. So things like total enrollment, we can see that there are seven current workflows that are on at this very moment. It also gives us some enrollment options, some opportunities down here. But one thing that I really like about HubSpot, this workflow session, is the health reports. Within the health reports, we can see that there are workflows with issues. This is in the last 180 days. We can see that there's 20 unused workflows. We can see that there are some opportunities, and this is month over month. And this one here, the opportunity to delete unused workflows, is really strong too. Because we can actually go into this menu here and click on Clean Up Unused Workflows. What this allows us to do is look at unused workflows that haven't been modified in the last 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, a year, etc. And we can go through each individual workflow here and look at, well, has anything been enrolled? What's the overtime? And we may even want to look at what is the workflow even looking like. Is it touching any properties? Is it touching any other workflows? Perhaps is there a list upload as part of this? Oftentimes, this is what people are looking for before they want to delete anything, before they want to clean up their portal. And unfortunately, HubSpot does not give you this view. Another cool thing that HubSpot does really well is the automation issues tab. Here it gives you, again, right, there's an impacted action, there's an issue. We're unable to send this email, so we can click on and view the automation, and we can see that there's 2 workflows impacted by this. And I think this is because this email isn't even live anymore. But again, right, if you are running a portal with 100 plus workflows or 200 plus workflows, well, how do you actually see how all of these things are interconnected without necessarily going through workflows, going through the section one by one, seeing if there's any interdependencies, what's the upstream, downstream impact of turning these workflows off, and what is essentially broken. And so that is the problem that we have solved with Howley. So Howley is your HubSpot workflow and auditing tool for reviewing interdependencies within your HubSpot platform. And I want to show you what that looks like, rather than having this, massive list of workflows. We can actually view all workflows on one canvas map, and we can see how everything is connected. So once I go on to Howley here, this is a app that we've developed. It's fully approved by HubSpot. It's on the HubSpot marketplace as a featured app. And we have actually worked closely with the HubSpot team to further improve and develop this. So it is definitely solving for not only the workflow visibility issue, but also the auditing of the workflows before anything gets turned on or changed or moved, etc. So as a first step, what we want to do is actually connect our portal to Howley. And the way we do that is simply clicking Connect to HubSpot. And this allows us to select whichever portal we want to look at. What Howley does is with a Howley account, you get full access to all of the portals that you're working on through one account, which makes it really beneficial to an agency that may be working across 6 or 10 or even 20 accounts at the same time to see how all of the workflows are connected and what will happen if anything changes. So in this case, I'm going to select my developer test account that we were just in HubSpot, and I'm going to choose that. And really quickly, we can see that this connection is being established. And now we have a map of all of our workflows, not only broken into the workflow type, but everything here is mapped out. As the very first step, right, if we're comparing the default HubSpot view, we can see here that we can, definitely organize by whether our workflow is on and off. We can organize by object type, and some will have a description, some won't, etc. But what Howley does is actually show you in real time all of these workflows. So there are 19 total contact workflows, 3 of which are on at the moment. So the new workflow test, there's a re-engagement workflow, and a send special offer test. We also see deal workflows, we see company workflows, and we see ticket workflows. And there are 4 ticket workflows on at the moment. Now, if I just start off by going to the contact workflows and I click on the new workflow test as an example, we can see that not only do we get the description, we get the enrollment and the actions from said workflow, we also get the connections to this workflow. And what is really interesting about this is we can immediately see that the actions from the new workflow test workflow is that we're going to send an email campaign and then add folks to a list here called engaged list nurture. And then the engaged list nurture actually starts 2 additional workflows, one which is called list test and one which is called the engaged list nurture. And we can see that the way that the connections or the arrows are drawn is also via the engaged list nurture. So this is a list-based trigger for these 2 workflows, the engaged list nurture and the list test. Now, another thing that you can see directly from this sidebar view is rather than clicking through this workflow called new workflow test, I'm going to find it here. New workflow test. I want to look through it, and I can, I have to click into the workflow here to see any sort of action logs or revision history, or if I want to, change the description or do anything, it has to be done directly here, and I have to search for this specific workflow in order to find it, and then I can see that, okay, it's being added to a list here called engaged list nurture, and then there's creating a test here, and then it ends. Now that's really great. If I were able to click on something along here where it would take me to, well, what else is the engaged list nurture connected to, that would be awesome. And that is the problem that Howley is solving for. So, one thing I can do here is rather than searching for this workflow in HubSpot, as I just did, I can actually just click on this button right here, and it takes me directly to that workflow, which is cool. And another thing that an admin or somebody who's working on a client portal might ask is, well, what happens if I turn this workflow off? And that is where we have created this function, which is what happens. So we can see that contacts will stop being added to the engaged list nurture list, which the engaged list nurture uses as an enrollment trigger. So new contacts may stop entering the engaged list nurture, and they will be stop adding to the list test. And so new contacts may stop, being triggered from turning this workflow off. As a next step, I may want to look at, okay, so that has created an error for me, and now I can see the engaged list nurture. Now I'm interested in what happens if I click here, and we can see, okay, there is another enrollment trigger, which is the add engaged to list. And if I go through here, we can see that, okay, there's some overlap through the lists here. And this is an opportunity for me to clean this up because we can see that there are interdependencies that shouldn't exist within this portal. If we click to the second workflow that I want to test, we have the re-engagement workflow. The re-engagement workflow here, it's actually started by a lifecycle stage. And this is the lifecycle stage being lead. And this comes from this workflow called welcome new lead. And we can see, okay, instantly that there is an interdependency with lead status being new, that it became new lead. And so right now I'm looking at all of these workflows and all of these interdependencies, and I'm thinking, oh my God, how do I fix this? How can I map this out and show the client or present this upwards so I can start working on cleaning up this portal? And that is where the all connections functionality becomes very important, because it allows you to take your Howley canvas and actually turn into a useful map that you can present upwards. You can build this map visually, and you can create your entire flow directly in Howley. So if I turn this on, we can see that all of a sudden there is a lot of lines being created. And as the next step, what I want to do is I want to actually take these and drag and drop it from the canvas. And what this allows me to do, right, is we can see that there's interdependencies here. A static list that's triggering multiple workflows at the same time. That's definitely not best practice, so that should be cleaned up. We can also see that the re-enrollment trigger, it starts when a new lead is perhaps being created, or when somebody becomes a new lead, we want to welcome them. They go into a re-engagement workflow. The re-engagement workflow triggers a send special offer workflow. And there are some deals or some workflows here that are connected to that workflow as well. And as I'm building out my process map right here, we can really quickly start to see where are the connections, rather than having to click through each individual workflow, then mapping it out in a tool like Miro or Lucidchart. We actually do it directly in Howley. And then as we are, building this out, it gives us an opportunity to look at, okay, there are some workflows here that are inactive, that are connected to other workflows. There are some workflows that are active, connected to inactive workflows. And so this is, again, as we're talking about the cleanup, and as we're talking about optimizing the portal health, one of the things we may want to look at is what can we immediately disconnect, what can we turn off, and what makes most sense for this portal that we're working in. Now, once we're happy with this workflow map that we've put together, I'm going to move some of these workflows out of the way here just so we get a clean picture of what that looks like. Once we're happy with that, we may, ask certain questions about what's the actual health score of our portal, and what are some other ways in which we can optimize this right away. And that is where the workflow health checker comes into play. So just like HubSpot shows you, we can see the workflows that haven't been updated in the last 6 months. But more importantly, we can see the workflows that are active and don't have any connections. We can see the workflows that are empty. We can look at what are the inactive workflows, and we can even see some possible duplicates that may exist within this portal. As I'm going through the health checker here, it also gives you a portal health score. And what's really cool is that we have worked with some large HubSpot agencies to provide some industry benchmarks. So you can actually see how not only your portal compares, but how your client portal compares to other portals in that, that have the same number of workflows. And so you can contrast and compare and see how you're doing. Now, back to the health checker. If I go through my stale workflows or orphan workflows, of course, it gives me a list view, but it also shows you, some, and this is organized by when is the last time that these workflows were changed. And we can see we have some workflows that haven't been changed in a year, 11 months. And I have to click here and it will take me directly to that workflow, and it will take me through the life cycle of that workflow. And if I go into the workflow directly, and make any change. And I can say, we may want to say, we may want to edit this record, and we want to say we want to edit like lifecycle stage as an example. We can turn that to evangelist and save that. What's really cool is that when we go back to Howley and hit the refresh, it's going to take a few seconds here for the API to fetch correctly. We can see that, okay, very cool. Now we have actually changed an action on the workflow to evangelist. So that's what we just did. And the health checker up here went from 13 to 12. And this workflow is no longer visible under stale workflows because we changed that. And as you're going through your portal and you're making these, big, broad lifecycle changes or even smaller ones, it's very important that you actually look through what are some things that are happening and as I'm making these changes. And that is where the recent changes functionality comes into play. And here you can see workflows updated in the last 30 days, or you can even filter by 60 days or 90 days. And we've made it really easy to also look at what's active and what's inactive as these changes are being made, and they're being made in real time. So I can click here, became new lead, takes me to that workflow. Very cool. And now it's that evangelist. Another thing that you may begin to as you have mapped this out and you're looking at your health score is, okay, well, what happens if I want to change a property on somebody? Are there any workflows that are being triggered based on that? And that is where the impact analyzer comes into play. So what we do is we actually look at your most used properties across all of your workflows in your portal, and then we surface those directly for you. You can also search for them yourself. So if you're looking at things like lead status, you can certainly go through that. But as a first step, we have surfaced all of your most used properties for you. And this is where you might find things like lifecycle stage or pipeline stage. And in this example, I want to click on lifecycle stage. And from here, we can see that there are 11 workflows that are being affected by the lifecycle stage. So there's 4 lifecycle stage triggers, and there's 7 lifecycle stage actions. And the triggers is what happens, or these are being triggered when a lifecycle stage is set. And so we have surfaced all of them that are active in your portal. So if a lifecycle stage is being set to lead or MQL or opportunity, it will trigger any of these workflows as appropriate. And if I wanted to, I can click in on this and I can click directly on the workflow, and we can see that, okay, so when lifecycle stage is any of lead, there is an upcoming email campaign, and then we enroll them into another workflow. But if we go back to the impact analyzer here, we can also see the actions that are affected or being affected by this lifecycle stage being set. And so this is where the modifies this property comes into play, because we have workflows where they actually set the lifecycle stage, and it could be lead status, it could be any property, right? But this is the one that's being most used in this particular portal. And so if we have the lifecycle stage being lead or being anything, we can also see that it actually changes the lifecycle stage by the modifies this property. And so if I click on the welcome new lead, we can see that what it does is it actually sets the lifecycle stage to lead. So these are some gotchas or some things to look out for as you're auditing, as you're going through your HubSpot portal using Howley. And we have tried to make it as easy as possible, right, to surface all of the properties, the lists, right, that is associated with your HubSpot portal. And you'll be able to find everything because it's very contextual to everything that you have. So whether it's custom or whether it is, standard HubSpot properties that are in the portal, we can surface all of these things and show you exactly how everything is connected. If you're looking to get perhaps a bit more granular with it too, and you have more than the 20 workflows that I'm showing you here, We also have a great filtering option where you can filter by active and inactive workflows. We can filter by the object type or the workflow type. And we also have some advanced filters. Again, these are contextual based on your portal. So things like, and again, I have form submission, list membership in mind, but I can surface here these that are dependent on list membership. So engage, list nurture, and list test, as we can see here. And this again just makes it easier and more manageable if you have hundreds or thousands of workflows in one portal at any time. What I'm going to do next is clear all the filters, and I'm actually going to reset my canvas layout because I have now done the portal. And one thing that I may want to do as part of this is create a export of this. So either you can do a PDF or a PNG. If you are working across a lot more workflows, you could even export this directly to Lucidchart with that integration, and it's going to give you all the lines and all the connections in one, together with the names and whether or not these workflows are active. But what I'm going to do next is actually reset the layout, and then I'm going to run a AI workflow analysis that's powered by Claude. That's going to read all of my workflows and give me some issues and it's going to surface gaps and opportunities. And it's also going to provide some recommendations about what exactly is working and what could be cleaned up and what could be optimized in my portal here. So once Howley has gone through and connected with Claude, we'll be able to see this, these AI insights here. So we can see that the portal has 27 workflows, only 26% active. So there's a significant amount of abandoned automation work. There's also a big focus on ticket management. That's true because we have 4 active. And there's an entire inactive lead lifecycle nurture system that is sitting dormant. So what this AI insight will do is actually give you the issues. It's going to give you the gaps, and it's going to look at some opportunities, and then it's going to give you some recommendations. And some recommendations right off the bat are like, well, audit and reactivate the lead lifecycle workflows, makes sense. Remove all test workflows and unnamed workflows, makes sense. Fix or deactivate the re-engagement workflow and 10 special offers since they are currently referencing each other incorrectly and cannot function as intended. So what's really cool is that Claude is actually capturing these things immediately and telling us exactly what's wrong with our HubSpot portal. But what's really cool is out of all the things that we've looked at today, we actually can take that into one big report that's going to give you full visibility into all of your HubSpot workflows, gaps, opportunities, something that can be presented upwards to a client, something that can be shown internally at your company. All you want to do is click the report here, and then it's going to give us a full PDF of what that looks like. So here we have the HubSpot Workflow Health Audit. That's looking at our score. It gives us total number of workflows, what's active, what's inactive, whether there are any issues. It's giving us some top priorities. We look at a summary of the workflows. We can see all the warnings and info items, and we can even see workflows by type. So this is your snapshot of your HubSpot workflows, so your HubSpot automations as they are today. Then we also give you portal benchmarks, which is surfaced here. And then we give you the issues. So there's an empty workflow here, the unnamed workflow. We have some stale workflows. There's 12 of those. And then we have 2 orphaned workflows. We also look at things like possible duplicates. We look at things like inactive workflows. And then we actually take the Claude AI, the Howley AI that was just created, and we put that into the report as well. At the very end, we get our inventory of all of the workflows, and we also get an appendix of our most used properties as they both are as triggers, as actions, and as conditions. And we can see those here. Of course, this portal is perhaps smaller than most. But what the report will give you is everything that we've surfaced today. If you want to go a little bit deeper with it, we actually have the functionality to create fully branded reports with your logo, your colors, your organization name. So rather than it being a sample Howley report with Howley's brand colors, you can use your own, and this is extremely helpful if you are presenting this upward to a client or you're doing consulting work, and you can really brand this and make it really nice for whomever you're working with. Lastly, we have our MCP. If you are feeling technical and you want to talk with Howley directly in Claude, you can set up a brand new token, call it Claude Desktop, and then it's going to give you the desktop snippet that you can enable in Claude. And then that way you now have, together with the HubSpot MCP, you have the Howley MCP, which gives you a lot more information than you can surface about your workflows. Now, once you are satisfied, once you are happy with this and you've looked at your automations and you have created your process map and you presented that upward to client, that is when you want to go ahead and look at your HubSpot portal once more. Because when you go to clean up unused workflows now, rather than necessarily guessing what is connected to which workflows are connected, are there any properties that that I could potentially be deleting or changing as I'm cleaning this up, Howley will give you that full visibility as to what is connected with each other and allowing you to clean up and audit and work in complete confidence without thinking that you're going to break something or remove something by accident, or something downstream is not going to trigger anymore. So Howley gives you that full confidence to be able to continue your great work. That is it for today's long-term video. If you have any questions, do reach out to support@howley.io. Check out howley.io for a free 7-day demo. Howley is read-only, so we don't write anything to your HubSpot portal. All we do is surface the issues, give you that full visibility. We give you the health score. We show you what's impacted, and everything is very nicely tied in with Claude directly. And the report that you create and download can, of course, be surfaced to clients upwards or used internally. And so we want to give you that full visibility into all of your HubSpot workflows across not only your portal, but if you wanted to, you can really quickly switch portal and you can connect it to another and another and another. That's it. Thank you so much, and have a good one.